In today's session, we are going to continue with file system and we'll be discussing file allocations. So basically, file allocation deals with a space that is allocated to a file as one or more portions. It can be contiguous set of allocated blocks or it can be non-contiguous, right? So any file can occupy the memory space in continuous order. Maybe their address locations are uh, adjacent, or maybe they are scattered over the whole area. Any allocation scheme can be performed, and the approach taken off for file allocation may influence the approach taken for free space management. So we can manage the free spaces in the memory resource with the similar kind of approach as well. Space is allocated to a file as one or more portions which can be contiguous or non-contiguous. So a file allocation table, which is FAT, is a data structure which is maintained by file system, which is used to keep track of portions assigned to the file. So we can keep a track where the file is, or which module of a particular file is stored where at what address. So all these um, information are being maintained by FAT table, and we can track all these records very easily over file allocation table. So moving ahead, next we have is pre-allocation versus dynamic allocation. So what is pre-allocation and the dynamic allocation? Precisely, a pre-allocation policy requires that the maximum size of file be declared at the time of the file creation request. And for many application, it is quite difficult, if not possible, to estimate reliably the maximum potential size of that file. So in pre-allocation, we have to specify their maximum size limit in advance so that the slot can be reserved and provided as and when required. So in nowadays, since we are into dynamic criteria, we are following various dynamic mechanism, as in dynamic loading, linking, or there can be any kind of interruption that can be caused at any time, for which we need to allocate additional resources or files. So under such scenarios, it is quite difficult for a user or a programmer to estimate the size, or to pre-mention the size that would be required. For dynamic allocation, it allocates space to a file in portions as and when needed. So it is more of less like dynamic loading. At the time when it is required, the execution is to be required, only then the files will be allocated with the space, otherwise they can reside in the storage device. Next we have is portion size. So while we are specifying the portions, it is basically in choosing a portion size, that is a trade-off between efficiency from the point of view of a single file versus overall system efficiency, right? So we are providing the size a maximum limit by which the efficiency of system must not be degraded. It must not impact the efficiency of overall system, yet it can allocate for the file. So there are certain items to be considered while specifying the portion size, as in contiguity of space increased performance, especially for retrieve next operation, and greatly for transactions running in a transaction oriented operating system. So it must identify the next instruction that is to be performed, next operation should be identifiable. Other than that, having a large number of small portion increase the size of table needed to manage the allocation information. So we need to maintain a table under which we all be managing the logs for allocations, which file is being stored where and which portion is located where. So all these should be maintained in one table, and it must have a large number of small portions, right? So having a flexible or let's say a fixed size portion simplifies the reallocation of space. So when we have to reallocate a particular portion of a program, we need not to identify or evaluate for the right size. Rather, if we are implementing it with the fixed portions, then we can reallocate any module of a particular program anywhere wherever the space is allocated, wherever the space is available. Having variable size or small size fixed size portion minimize waste of unused storage due to over allocations. Although if we are using variable sized or a quite smaller portions, then the wastage of memory, storage memory will be avoided, because the right size can be provided to a particular requested module in case of variable sizes. Or if we are into a small fixed size portions, then also we are able to allocate the required only the necessary space to a particular program, rather than like for taking an example, we are having a portion size of 5 GB, but our module requires only 2 GB, so that 3 GB goes wasted. So if it is smaller in size, let's say we are opting for 3 GBs and the program module requires 2 GB, so only just 1 GB will be goes wasted. So this way we can save the storage area as well. Next we have alternatives. There are two major alternatives, as in variable large contiguous portion we can opt for, and this provides better performance. The variable size avoids waste and the file allocation tables are small. Apart from this, we can also opt for blocks, which are small fixed portions which provide greater flexibility. They may require large tables or complex structures for their allocation. Contiguity has been abandoned as a primary goal. Blocks are allocated as needed. Nextly, we have file allocation methods. So precisely there are three file allocation methods which are followed. One is contiguous, the other one we have is linked or chained, and the third we are having is indexed. So while looking into this table, it is quite comparative that pre-allocations in case of contiguous are necessary, whereas in chain it can be possible but it is optional, and in index also it is possible but it is optional. If we talk about fixed or variable size portions, in case of contiguous we follow variables, whereas in case of chain we follow fixed blocks only. In case of index we follow both fixed blocks as well as variable blocks. Next, coming to the portion size, in contiguous memory we have large portion size. In chain the portion size are quite small, and in index we follow only small portion size or the medium, we don't go for the larger ones. So next we have allocation frequency, how frequent the allocations are being done. So in case of contiguous, we allocate once only, and in chain the frequency is low to high, it can be followed as and when required, and in index we follow high to low frequency. In case of contiguous, the time to allocate is quite minimum, and in chain it acquires long time to allocate, whereas in index it goes from short to medium time span. In case of contiguous, file allocation table size is one entry just. In chain it is again one entry, whereas in index it is quite large. We have to maintain large set of entries, and or maybe medium. So, moving ahead, let's have a deeper discussion for contiguous file allocation. So, when we are talking about contiguous file allocations, a single contiguous set of blocks is allocated to a file at the time of file creation. The file allocation table needs just a single entry for each file, showing the starting block and the length of the file. Accessing a file that has been allocated contiguously is easy. And taking an example, if a file starts at block B, and let's say the nth block of the file is wanted, and its location on secondary storage is simply B plus n minus 1. So contiguous allocation is the best from the point of view of the individual sequential file, and multiple block scan can be read in at a time to improve input output performance for sequential processing. So you can check over here in this particular diagram, we have file A, which is been allocated to 2, 3 and 4 locations, right? So we have the total length here of file A, which starts from block 2, goes 3 length. So it is occupying 3 allocation sets. Whereas file B, it is starting from ninth block and the total length is of 5. Similarly with file C, it is starting from 18th block and its total size is 8. And we have likewise file D, which is starting from 30th and the size is only 2. Whereas file E is starting from 8th, 26th, and its size is 3. So it is a contiguous file allocation. The file is being allocated in contiguous slots only, right? So it is not scattered over all over the area in the memory space. So this is the example of contiguous file allocation. Moreover, the contiguous allocation problem can be seen as a particular application of the general dynamic storage allocation problem, which involves how to satisfy a request of size n from a list of free holes. So we go for first fit and best fit, which are the most common strategies used to select free holes from the set of available holes. So contiguous allocation presents some problems, like it undergo with external fragmentation, which usually occurs, making it difficult to find contiguous block of space of sufficient length. So as a file allocates and deletes, the free disk space is broken into little pieces, and external fragmentation exists whenever free space is broken into small chunks. It become a problem when the largest contiguous chunk is inefficient for a request, and storage is fragmented into number of holes, none of which are large enough to store the data. So the major problem that is faced by a contiguous file system is the external fragmentation. And there is one strategy for preventing loss of significant amount of disk space to external fragmentation is to copy an entire file system onto another disk. So this is one way. The original disk is then freed completely, and creating one large contiguous free space, we then copy the files back into the original disk by allocating contiguous space from this one large hole. This scheme effectively compacts all free space into one contiguous space and solving the fragmentation problem, right? So this is one strategy by which we can remove external fragments from our memories. And there is one more problem with contiguous allocation is to determine how much space is needed for a file. When the file is created, the total amount of space it will need must be found and allocated. Even if the total amount of space needed for a file is known in advance, pre-allocation may be inefficient. So in this scenario, there can be large amount of internal fragmentations, and we can avoid this internal fragmentation too. And some operating system use a modified contiguous allocation scheme. Here a contiguous chunk of space is allocated initially, and then if that amount proves not to be large enough, another chunk of contiguous space known as extent is added. So internal fragmentation can still be a problem a little while, and external fragmentation can become a problem as extent of varying size, right? So these are the two problem areas with contiguous file allocation which can be resolved accordingly. So moving ahead, next, this is an example how we can avoid the external fragmentation. Like, if you carefully have viewed this, there was a few chunks of memory which was empty in between the allocations of files. So we have copied all the stuff into another disk, and then make this whole slot as one contiguous. And then by copying back, we have provided the contiguous slot to all the files, and all the free space goes at the end. So this whole empty slot can be reused or can be provided to any required file. So this is the one way how we can avoid the external fragmentation. So moving ahead, next we have is chained allocation. When we are talking about chained allocation, or it is also termed as linked allocation, each file is a linked list of disk blocks. So here the concept of linked list will lie. The disk blocks may be scattered anywhere on the disk. Each block contains a pointer to the next block in the chain. These pointers are not made available to the user again. The file allocation table needs just a single entry for each file, showing the starting block and the length of the file, and there is no external fragmentation with this kind of allocation. And any free block on the free space list can be used to specify a request, and the size of the file need not to be declared when the file is created. So we need not to provide pre-allocations as well. So a file can continue to grow as long as free blocks are available. We can increase the size of the file as far as we have empty slots in our resource. So consequently it is never necessary to compact disk space, right? So you can see the file B here. All the portions of the file B are being scattered all over the memory, and they each block is being linked by using a pointer. Like block 1 is pointing to block 8, and 8 is pointing to 3, 3 is pointing to 4. This is how we are maintaining the continuity of our file. And the major problem of linked allocation is that it can be used effectively only for sequential access files. So they are hard to implement with random access. To uh, find the nth block of a file, we must start at the beginning of that particular file and follow the pointer until we get the nth block which is required. So each access to a pointer requires a disk read and some requires a disk seek. And primarily the most common solution to this particular problem is to collect blocks into multiples, which are called clusters. And to allocate cluster rather than block, the cost of this approach is an increase in internal fragmentation. Still, if we are implementing this approach with the help of clusters, we have to undergo with the problem of internal fragmentation. Right, so we are clustering here. You can see we are providing the clusters, and we are grouping all these together so that the problem of internal fragmentation can be resolved. Next we have is indexed allocations. So when we are dealing with indexed allocation, it basically addresses many of the problems of contiguous and chain allocation. So this has been implemented to overcome the problems of previous allocations. And linked allocation cannot support efficient direct access, as we have discussed. It is only good for sequential access, since the pointers to the block are scattered with the block themselves all over the disk and must be retrieved in order. So indexed allocation solve this problem by bringing all the pointers together into one location. The index block here maintain all the pointers together, and to find and read the nth block we use the pointer in the nth index block entry. When the file is created, all the pointers in the index block are set to null. So all are given with the value 0 at the initial state. When the nth block is first written, a block is obtained from the free space manager. Its address is put in the nth index block entry. So index allocation support direct access without suffering from external fragmentation. Any free block anywhere on the disk may satisfy a request for more space. Index allocation does suffer from wasted space as well. The pointer overheads of the index block is generally greater than the pointer overhead of linked allocation. It suffers from some of the same performance problem as does linked allocation. But index allocation is quite complex. If the index block is already in memory, then the access can be made directly. However, keep the index block into memory requires considerable space. We need to have additional space to maintain this index table. If this memory space is not available, then we may have to read first the index block and then the desired data block. So for two level indexing, two index blocks reads might be necessary. So this way it goes on increasing the complexity of allocations. So this is the example of indexed allocation with variable length portion. So here also we are maintaining two level index blocks, and there is a chance of memory wastage too. Again we are maintaining the blocks and keeping the required information into our allocation table. So these tables hold a file name and index block, and apart from that, the second level holds the information related to the start block and the length. So again, we need to have additional space for maintaining all these information. So which is actually increasing the complexity. Next we have is free space management. Since there is only a limited amount of disk space, it is necessary to reuse the space from deleted files or for new files. So we need to reuse the already existing blocks, and we make the necessary arrangements so that all these empty slots could be reused. So keep track of free disk space. The system maintains a free space list also. The free space list records all disk blocks that are free. And to create a file, the free space list has to be searched for the required amount of space and it allocates that space to a new file. So this space is then removed from a free space list. When a file is deleted, this disk space is added to the free list space again, right? So we are maintaining a record of free space as well, so that the area, the portion of resource can be reused. And this can be done with the help of uh, bit tables, right? So we can maintain the bits for empty spaces as in 1 or 0, and the advantage of this is it works well with any file allocation method and it is as small as possible. Afterwards we have chain free portions. The free portion may be chained together, like in case of a well list that we were using in linked list, right? So we are maintaining a linked list, a pointer, a chain of free spaces which then can be requested from and provided to any desired file. There is a disadvantage which leads to fragmentation. Every time you allocate a block, you need to read the block first to recover the pointer, and this is an additional task that you have to perform to reset the pointers of that particular chain. Apart from this, uh, free space can be managed by using indexes, right? So we can keep track, we can keep an additional index table in which we are maintaining all the records of free spaces, which can be traced for the time when it is required to allocate the space to a particular file. Then we can maintain a free block list as well. This is each block is assigned a number sequentially, and the list of the number of all free blocks are maintained in a reversed portion, reserved portion of the disk. And depending on the size of disk, either 24 or 32 bits will be needed to store a single block number, right? And there are two efficient techniques for sorting a small part of the free block list in main memory. The list can be treated as push down stack, or we can implement it with the help of queue by using first in first out method. So both the data structures can be used, stack or queue, to maintaining this pre-block list. So students, with this we are done with file system, right? So as if now, if anyone wants to ask anything, please go ahead and ask.